Has it been a case of too many cooks in the kitchen for the Broncos this year? I mean, too many playmakers adding their own spice to the games and none of it quite working together? It certainly felt that way when the Broncos took on the Dolphins in the Battle of Brisbane.
Yeah! Old Skool Broncos! Yeah!
Welcome back to the Old Skool Broncos Podcast, the place where we dig into the Broncos with a bit of honesty and a bit of perspective. Today we're talking about what might be Brisbane's biggest problem and maybe, after this game, their biggest lesson. For so much of 2025, the Broncos have looked like a team with too many chefs. Everyone trying to make their own dish. But against the Dolphins, when injuries forced a reshuffle, suddenly the meal came together perfectly. Normally the Broncos' spine is loaded. Reynolds calling the plays, Mam sniffing for spice, Walsh pushing into the line, Hunt and Walters darting out of dummy half, and Carrigan ball playing in the middle. It's a recipe that should be delicious, but too often it's ended up overcooked. Everyone trying to create the big play and it all happening at once. Take Reynolds out, take Mam out. In an unforeseen twist, suddenly there's clarity. Ben Hunt at halfback wasn't trying to be anything other than the general. His kicking game was sharp. Long early kicks that turned the Dolphins around and a few bombs that created errors in field position. He didn't overcomplicate things. He ran the kitchen. Billy Walters at 5'8" didn't pretend to be Ezra Mam. He didn't throw in chili just for the sake of it. He kept it simple, moving the ball, working with Hunt, and defending tough. Nothing flashy, but no mess either. Reece Walsh. This was his best game of the year. And why? Well, for mine, it's because he didn't over-season the dish. He played calm, he picked his moments, and that 40-20 was like the perfect garnish. Game-changing, but timed just right. So with fewer cooks and fewer options, the Broncos finally played like a team that knew what it wanted to be. The sets were simpler, they weren't trying to score on every play, they built pressure, they kicked to corners, they trusted each other. It felt like the chaos of too many options was stripped away and what we got was a clean, composed style of footy that looked sustainable. But don't forget, the Dolphins weren't just there to taste test. They came hungry. They weren't just under strength. They were scraping the bottom of the pot, missing so many key ingredients of their own, but they were brave as we have come to expect. They muscled up in the forwards, they brought high energy from the start, and they raced out to an early second half lead. The hammer at centre was a secret spice, sharper and more dangerous than he's been at fullback. He asked real questions of Brisbane's edge. The Dolphins have earned a reputation in their short history for always bringing effort. And this game was no different. Even without their full pantry, they cooked up plenty of problems for Brisbane to deal with. The Broncos knew this would be the case, as it has been for every Battle of Brisbane since the game started. The Dolphins' intensity ensured it wasn't all smooth sailing at all. A few dropped balls and an injury to Gajewski forced Jaden Hunt to slot into the back row and play bigger minutes than he'd expected. Hunt hasn't played a lot of first grade this year, so it was like throwing in a substitute chef halfway through a service. Timing gets thrown off, communication slips, and suddenly the meal's at risk of burning. The Dolphins took advantage of that edge, and for patches of the game, the Broncos looked rattled, particularly early in that second half. But the big difference? They didn't let it snowball. They steadied, reset, and got back to the plan. This game also showed that the Broncos pack is starting to work as one. Payne Haas and Pat Carrigan were the head chefs. They controlled the ruck, they steadied the team when things wobbled, and they set the platform. They were well supported by Jordan Ricky and Corey Jensen and Hetherington off the bench. Like last week, they are playing like a pack. And the good news is, the reinforcements are coming. Xavier Willison, he should be back in the finals, and he adds size and intimidation. Brendan Piakura, once clear of concussion, he brings the heat on the edge. When those ingredients return, this forward pack could be a proper powerhouse, especially if they keep that same pack mentality. So here's the big takeaway. The Broncos don't need everyone in the kitchen throwing in their own spice. The simplest style, one general, one organiser, one strike weapon out the back, worked. The hope is that when Reynolds and Mam return, they buy into it. Because if they come back thinking they've got to do it all themselves, we're going back into chaos. If they slot into a recipe that's already working, adding their brilliance without over-seasoning it, then Brisbane won't just be a good side, they'll be going deep into September. So maybe the question for the Broncos isn't about talent, it's about balance. Too many cooks spoil the broth, but against the Dolphins, we saw what happens when everyone just plays their role. Let's not get carried away either. It was one game against a depleted Redcliffe team, but it was also exactly the bounce back we were looking for after that Storm loss. But what do you reckon? Are the Broncos guilty of having too many cooks in the kitchen? Or is it just the start of them finding the right recipe? Let me know in the comments. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Make sure you tell your fellow Broncos fans about this thing. This is the Old Skool Broncos Podcast. Let's go, Broncos.